Welcome to Crimepedia. I am your host, Morgan. I hope you're having a wonderful day. And with me, as always, is the lovely Cherry. Hello, Cherry.
Hello. Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm really good, thank you. How's things? All good?
Things are going well. As well as they can be, thank you.
Good. And I'm going to make your day even better because we have got 2 5-star reviews this week.
Oh, I love them.
How nice are people? So we've got one that says, this is from Mesa Melba Toast in Canada. Go Canada. And this
Canada.
one says, my new all-time faves, great banter.
Oh,
We have good
that's
banter.
wonderful.
I love that. And the second one is a British one. Whoop, whoop. Go Britain. And it says, the hosts make this podcast such a joy listening to their interactions. Highly recommended. And that's from Welsh Lamb via Apple Podcasts. So thank you very much for your 5-star reviews. We really, really appreciate that. If you want to leave us a review, we will greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Let me just take a quick moment to address our American listeners. Hey,
okay.
America. We're getting reviews from England and Wales and Ireland and Canada. But there's no new American reviews. We're supposed to be number 1 in the world.
I don't know about that.
We're the best.
Okay. It's going to be battle of the countries.
So let's get some American reviews and make me happy.
We also have a new Patreon as well. Hello to Bronwyn. Thank you very much for joining our Patreon. We very much appreciate it.
I love that name.
It's a nice name, yeah. I bet she's really pretty.
It's a wonderful name.
Yeah, it's a nice name. And we've got 2 weeks to go until CrimeCon UK. 2 weeks. I can't believe we're down to like weeks now. 2 weeks to go. We will be there. There still are some day tickets and there still are some weekend tickets. I think there's not very many left. So you might be able to get some. You can still do that. You can still use our code. Use the code Crimepedia. Get yourself 10% off. You can come for the day now. So you don't have to spend the whole weekend up there. If you fancy something to do in 2 weeks' time, we will see you there.
It's been almost a year since we started this, we started working towards CrimeCon UK.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it? And then before you know it, we'll be like down on the weeks to CrimeCon US and we'll be waiting to go to Vegas. It's going to be crazy. We've got a lot of people that have said they're coming. So we've got a lot of people I've seen online saying they're coming. So it's going to be really good to see everybody. So you can also use the same code. If you want to get a discount off of your Vegas tickets for CrimeCon, then just use the code Crimepedia and then you can get 10% off of your tickets there too.
You can. And we will promise you that we will have something extra special for you if you use our code.
Yes. It's exciting. We're also having a podcasters party, I think, at CrimeCon UK. So the people that have used our code can come down and see all the different podcasters in the party, which will be quite good fun.
Get a little tipsy.
Maybe.
Have a little drink or two.
Have a little dance on the table. We'll see. We'll see. So yeah,
that'd be fun.
The news for this week.
Excellent. Well, if there is nothing else, how about we just jump into this week's case?
Let's go.
In the pre-dawn hours of July 6th, 2007, a 911 call is made from Whitewater Township, just outside of Cincinnati, Ohio. The caller would tell the operator that a woman had been shot and was believed to be dead. When police arrived at the 20-year-old woman's apartment, they would find her sitting on her couch, dead from a single gunshot wound. While police initially believed her death to be of an apparent suicide, it would end up being ruled undetermined, and has remained so for over 14 years. This is Crimepedia, and this is the death of Sarah Ruth Wallace. All right, Cherry. So Sarah Ruth Wallace was a 20-year-old woman from Cincinnati, Ohio. She was a kind soul who left a piece of herself with everyone she met. She was an inspiration and lifeline to those who needed her. She was a young woman with bright dreams and aspirations. She worked as a pharmacy assistant at CVS and had plans to attend Cincinnati State. She hoped to get into the medical field to assist hospice patients and children. But Sarah's life would be cut tragically short, and she would never get a chance to realize her dreams. On July 5th, 2007, after working a shift at CVS and then her second job at Rumpke Ballpark with her dad and brother, Sarah had plans of meeting her boyfriend, 27-year-old Leonard Messer, at Mingle's Bar in Coleraine. The two had begun dating the previous July and were coming up on their first anniversary together just 3 days later. According to her family, for the first few months, everything seemed normal in their relationship, and Sarah was very happy. But things began to change around Halloween in 2006, when Leonard was kicked out of her family's bar for fighting. At that point, signs of abuse became apparent to those close to Sarah. Sarah would start to become paranoid, telling her sister-in-law, Betsy Wallace, that she was worried that Leonard would think that she was cheating on him if she was out with Betsy or her other sister-in-law, Angie. Now, Leonard would also often drive past her work or send others into the work to make sure that she wasn't flirting with anyone.
Huh.
Things get worse, okay? So on Memorial Day weekend in 2007, Leonard would call Sarah to pick him up along with some other people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, later on, Leonard would force Sarah into allowing someone to force a sex act on her. Okay? Now,
on his girlfriend.
On his girlfriend. Now, when Sarah didn't do enough, in Leonard's opinion, to stop it, he got mad and started yelling at her.
Oh, my God.
So basically, he wanted someone to forcefully put himself on her and have sex with her. And then I guess he expected her to
fight them off.
At least, fight them off.
Jesus.
But it didn't happen. Okay. Now, Sarah would end up leaving her apartment at that point and would stay with Betsy and her brother Andrew for a few days. Now, when she returned to the apartment, she found that Leonard had trashed it and had broken numerous items. Leonard would end up bringing Sarah flowers and apologizing for everything.
Of course he did.
Promising to never do it again.
Yeah, until the next time.
But at this point, Leonard only became more controlling. He would tell Sarah that she wasn't allowed to talk to her sister-in-law, Betsy. So Sarah, at that point, would only be able to call her during her lunch breaks.
Yeah, when he's not around.
Exactly. On June 27th of 2007, family would notice bruising on Sarah's shoulders, chest, wrists, thighs, and knees. When asked about them, Sarah would tell them that she and Leonard had gone to the Miami Whitewater Forest, where she got bruised when he jokingly pushed her into the lake.
Oh, okay.
Now, I had to look this up. So there's a large lake at this park, or this, so it's like I don't know if it's a state park or what it is, but I was looking at it and where the little park area is, it looks like the main area. There was a significant drop from the ground into the
lake. Yeah. So he's just been an arsehole and pushed her in. If he pushed her in, that's a fair drop then.
Mm-hmm. Even if that's what the bruises really were from.
Yeah.
It's messed up.
Yeah, that's right. You don't do that to someone.
It's not funny.
No,
not at all.
No.
Not at all.
I don't know if regular listeners can hear the tone in our voices in that we're really, really not impressed. This episode has probably made me the angriest I've ever been when we've been researching an episode.
Oh yeah. No.
I'm trying really hard.
It's a very tough episode.
This is.
We've talked about this. This episode itself is probably the one case that we've probably talked the most about, prior to recording.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's crazy.
And it gets worse. It gets worse, unfortunately. Now, on June 28th, Sarah would contact Betsy. She wanted out.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, after going back and forth as to what to do, the two of them would make plans to get her out of the apartment and out of her abusive relationship.
Yeah.
Sarah would move in with Betsy and her brother, Andy. But Betsy, who had just given birth, needed a few days to get settled with the new baby before moving Sarah in.
Yeah, of course. She just had a baby.
Yeah. Now, on July 4th, Sarah would attend a family function where she wore a sweatshirt. Okay. Now, this is July in Ohio.
Not sweatshirt weather. Yeah.
No, not at all. I think I did look it up that day. It was probably, I'm doing quotation marks, cooler than what you would expect, but it was still like in the mid 70s. Okay.
So definitely not sweatshirt weather.
No, not at all. Now, when questioned by cousins about wearing a sweatshirt on a warm summer day, Sarah would claim that she had put it on because her apartment had been cold. Now, after being at the get-together for about 20 minutes and being further questioned about the sweatshirt, Sarah would leave, stating that Leonard wanted her home because he thought it was going to storm that night, which it didn't.
No.
There was no storm that night. Okay.
This is like classic behavior of somebody who's involved in a domestic violence situation, isn't it? It's the excuses, it's the change in behavior, it's the constantly making excuses for the other person, the being frightened and not coming home, like needing to get home, needed to prove where you are all the time. It doesn't sound like a healthy relationship at all.
It wasn't. No. Now, one of the saddest things about this, so we did talk to Betsy a lot.
We did.
Before, to go over this case and to get to know who Sarah was. One of the saddest aspects of this is Sarah would keep a journal and she would write. And her last entry, I believe, was on June 27th. So June 27th was the day where family first noticed the bruising on it. And it was the day prior to her deciding that she wanted out. Now, on the 27th, it was obvious based on her last journal entry that she was in love, and all she wanted was to be loved back. And so that's why on the next day, the 28th, when she decided to get out, it wasn't an immediate, yes, this is what I need to do. She had to go back and forth on it.
Yeah.
She was a 20-year-old girl who was in love with a man who was abusive and disrespectful and just someone that she didn't deserve her love.
And he was a bit older than her as well, wasn't he? He was like 27 or like 7 or 8 years older than her. Yeah, so he was like
7, yes. Yeah, 7 years
27,
older.
Yeah.
Yeah, so all she wanted was him to love her, and
he didn't.
It wasn't going to happen.
No.
It wasn't going to happen. So now we're back on July 5th, okay?
Yeah.
Now, during her shift at CVS, Sarah would tell coworkers that she was done with Leonard and that she deserved better.
Good.
During a break at work, Sarah would drive over to Betsy and Andy's place where she picked up her niece and took her out to lunch. While she was there, Betsy would show Sarah where her room was. Okay. Sarah appeared to be very excited about the upcoming move, which they had planned to begin that weekend.
And she was really close with her niece, wasn't she? Remember Betsy telling us that she was quite close with her niece. They were quite close together. It's quite nice. Yes. Nice relationship they had.
Yeah, so it's the older niece. And then the baby, she was absolutely in love with the baby.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So she was a wonderful, wonderful aunt to her nieces. Now, after leaving her second job at the ballpark, sometime between 10:30 and 11 p.m., Sarah would make a stop at her parents' house before heading out to meet with Leonard at Minkle's bar. Now, Leonard had been drinking at the bar since earlier in the afternoon that day. And according to witnesses, Leonard was very aggressive towards Sarah and was seen belittling her at the bar.
Ugh.
The two would sit at opposite ends of the L-shaped bar while they were there. And after being served one beer, Sarah would leave the bar around midnight. Okay. Now at 12:15 a.m., Sarah stopped at CVS where she bought a pack of cigarettes and a Mountain Dew and briefly spoke to the night manager. At around 12:25 a.m., Sarah would pull into her parking spot and talk to the neighbors across the street for a while before heading into her apartment sometime between 12:30 and 12:45 a.m. Okay. Now, at sometime between 1:15 and 1:30 a.m., a neighbor in the upstairs apartment heard noises coming from Sarah's apartment and then a gunshot. Disturbed by what he heard, the neighbor grabbed his own gun and ran down the stairs to see what was going on. There, the neighbor reportedly saw Leonard Messer along with another man locking up the apartment. When asked about the gunshot, Leonard claimed that there was no gunshot and everything was fine. He said that Sarah was just drunk and had tripped over the table. Leonard would then be seen being picked up and leaving the scene in the Jeep. Now, according to the police reports, the person who actually picked up Leonard at that point was his father, who then claimed to have driven him back to his parents' home. Okay?
Yep.
Now, at 3:42 a.m., a 911 call was made from Leonard's parents' home by his mother, Jean Messer.
My son accidentally shot his girlfriend. Does he know what kind of condition she's in? He believes she's dead.
Now, as you heard, Jean would state that her son accidentally shot his girlfriend and that he believed she was dead. She would go on to say that the gun went off while the two were fighting over it at around 3:15 a.m. All right?
Mm-hmm.
At 3:46 a.m., Lieutenant Tom Butler from the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office arrived on scene, and after making a forced entry into apartment 3 at 8198 Vegas Drive, he found Sarah Wallace dead, sitting in an upright position on the couch with a .38 caliber revolver sitting on her lap.
And the reason that he came from Hamilton County was because the Coleraine Township don't have any homicide division. So they don't have a homicide team to come in and look at it. So they had to get someone in from Hamilton County to then come it over because obviously they've got the homicide team.
That's correct. Before we go on, I want to talk about something real quick, and we'll come back to this later on. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to talk about timing here.
Mm.
All right.
It's so off.
We know for a fact that the 911 call was made at 3:42 a.m.
Yeah.
Okay? We know that 4 minutes later, Tom Butler from Hamilton County Sheriff's Office arrived on scene.
Yeah.
So that's 3:46 a.m.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first issue that we're running into is we have a neighbor who said that he heard the shots. He grabbed his gun between 1:15 a.m. And 1:30 a.m.
Yeah.
Okay. We have mom on the 911 call saying that it happened around 3:15 a.m. So right now we have a discrepancy of 2 hours.
Yeah.
All right.
And the neighbor saw him locking up the apartment earlier in the day, obviously like between 1 and 1:30. So obviously he's seen him.
Yes.
So that's a witness to when he saw him with the dad. So how can it be? It doesn't.
And this is a witness. Sense. It's not a witness who has any reason to be lying about time.
No.
He has nothing invested in this.
No, exactly.
So where's what happened? What happened with these 2 hours? There's at least 2 hours gone between when the neighbor heard and when the mom said the gunshot happened.
That's right.
And I want to make it was the mom who called. Leonard didn't call.
No, and we know for a fact that there were 3 phones available in that apartment that night. They had her phone, his phone, and another one of her, like a work phone. So there were 3 cell phones available that night, right there at the scene that he could have used to call 911 straight away. But he didn't.
And
he waited.
He didn't. And
he got his dad to pick him up, so he rang his mum.
Yeah. There was also a firehouse.
Yeah,
which was right down the street.
Yeah,
like 2 minutes away from the house.
Yeah, so he could have run down. And also, Betsy doesn't live very far away from where they live. So their family members are literally within running distance of the house.
Yeah.
But no, he chose to ring his family.
Before we get into anything else, this is very telling.
Very
that
suspicious.
This guy leaves, locks up, goes home, has his mom call at some point.
it's not only that. The fact that he locks up calmly, tells the guy upstairs, no, it wasn't a gunshot. It was she tripped over because she's drunk, locks the door and then leaves calmly.
Mm-hmm.
So he doesn't come running out saying, oh my God, there's been a struggle. She's been shot. Can you help me? It's like, no, there wasn't a gunshot. It wasn't a gun. She just tripped over the table and now I'm leaving with my dad. What?
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
How do you explain that one away? How?
Look, let's take the time. Let's take the time out. All right. Let's say that the shooting actually did happen at 3:15 a.m.
Of course, yeah.
He calls 3:15 a.m. Shooting happens. He calls 911. Someone could have been on the scene within 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Hypothetically.
Right. So could potentially be giving her perhaps life-saving treatment straight away within 4 minutes.
Yeah. I don't think that it would have helped.
No.
She would have died either way. But still, regardless.
Well, we'll get to that because we'll get to that in the autopsy report because it could not have been that way, remember?
Possibly.
At that time. There could have been, they could have started something.
They could have.
Could have got her help.
Okay. Let's jump into this, all right? So medical examiners would determine the immediate cause of death was caused by a gunshot wound to the neck in a perforated right carotid artery.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, a 0.4-inch gunshot entrance wound was found at a point approximately 9 inches from the apex and approximately a half-inch right of the anterior midline. Okay. Now, surrounding the entrance wound was a moderate amount of soot and a single apparent pinpoint stippled mark.
Yes.
Now, this was an indicator to investigators that the gunshot was from close range, most likely either loose to the skin or less than 6 inches from the neck. Okay. The bullet then perforated the right carotid artery at the level of the C4 vertebrae and caused a contusion of the spinal cord, which more than likely would have caused immediate paralysis.
Yeah.
Okay.
But not immediate death.
That's correct.
Mm.
It then exited the neck at a point approximately 7 inches from the apex and just right of the posterior midline.
Mm-hmm.
So the general direction of fire was from the front to back with a slight deviation from right to left and a slight deviation from down to up. All right?
Mm-hmm.
So just keep that in mind. We'll get back to that later, but keep that in mind. So we'll
explain that, yeah.
So in a nutshell, this is a gunshot which is almost immediately directly in front of her neck, right in the middle.
So not under the chin.
Not under the chin, like was said in the original 911 call and the original statements that said the gun was under her chin, was placed under her chin. It wasn't. It was put in the very middle of her neck. There's a very slight deviation, which indicates that the gun was pointed upwards very slightly and then slightly to the left. All right. Now, medical examiners would also note bruising on Sarah's chest, arms, and knees. All right.
Mm.
According to the police report, Leonard claimed that the two were having a domestic dispute, which stemmed from an argument at the bar because he was talking to another woman. When Leonard arrived back at the apartment, the two would continue to argue, and Sarah grabbed the gun, and she said she was going to shoot herself. When he went to go reach for her hand, the gun went off. Leonard would tell investigators that he had given the gun to Sarah for protection when he was not with her.
Yeah, it's his gun. It's not her gun. It's his gun.
Exactly.
Mm.
Now, however, he says that he gave the gun to her for protection. According to staff at Mingle's bar, just a few days prior to the shooting, Leonard had been waving the gun around in the bar, and it was taken from him, only for it to be returned once he left.
Yeah, I think the barman took it away because he was waving it around and then returned it as he was leaving.
That is correct. Now, Leonard would say also to investigators that he would stay with Sarah at her apartment during the work week, but would stay at his parents' house with his wife and kids on the weekends.
What an arsehole. What?
Leonard Messer
I can't believe
was
it.
married.
It's married with kids, but had a girlfriend that he lived with during the week. And his wife knew. His wife knew that he had, and it wasn't just one girlfriend he had. He had other girlfriends. Sarah wasn't the only girlfriend.
She was not the only girlfriend. No.
He had other girlfriends, and obviously Sarah wasn't very happy with that. But I mean, man. I do want to just say though that we did try and contact Leonard to get his side of the story for this, because obviously this is what we found, and we're giving you all the information from what we found. I did try and get hold of Leonard, his mum, and other family members to see if they would talk to us, and we got nothing. So if this seems biased, I know everybody will say there's two sides to every story. We tried. So if you find this online, any of his family, and you want to come and talk to us, by all means, we will talk to you. But it doesn't look good. The evidence does not look good.
Not
so by all means, if you want to come and give us different answers, we'd welcome to speak to you. But at the moment, it's not looking great.
Now, you mentioned him seeing another woman at the time. So I'm gonna talk about this. Now, this is a theory, rumor, whatever you want to call it. So I cannot confirm that this happens, but this might explain the deviation in the time, the 2-hour difference in the time.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
So there is a belief that after the shooting, when Leonard left, he ended up going to a Red Roof Inn hotel in Coleraine, where he met up with the other woman who he was seeing at the time. Okay. Her name was Kimmy. All right. Now, this story comes from her directly, as well as another woman named Jackie, who was a sex worker, who said that they actually had been with him after the shooting, and that they were actually at one point inside Sarah's car. Now, when Sarah's car was found, the back windows were rolled down.
Yeah, and they were always up. She always kept her windows up. Yeah.
So she did not have like manual windows. So you would actually have to physically roll up the windows and roll them down. So at some point, there were people in the backseat of her car that with the windows down.
Now, Leonard's car was actually parked on the same street, down the street.
That's correct.
So whatever happened, they didn't drive his car. They were in Sarah's car.
They were in Sarah's car.
Which is parked right outside the front of the apartment.
Yes. Now, the other thing that to me gives a little credence to this story is the fact that police actually found in Sarah's bedroom, on her bed, a white bath towel that had been damp. Okay?
Yeah.
Sarah did not own any white bath towels.
No, because she was allergic to bleach. And so this towel had been bleached, and Sarah would not have had bleach in her apartment because she was allergic to it.
But who would have white bath towels and who would bleach those bath towels?
Oh, let me think. Possibly a hotel might have white bath towels. You would be
correct. Yes.
Interesting. So let me get this right with this timeline. So if that's the case and he's left, so we've got the gunshot going off, the neighbor coming down and seeing him at like 1:15 to 1:30. Okay. So then the dad is already there. So that means that the dad would have had to have dropped him at this hotel and then come back with him, or then go to the mum's house. Because the neighbor saw the dad. If that is the dad, obviously. Because the mum might be right. He might have told the mum that it just happened at 3:00. He might have turned up there at 3:00. And it might not have been his dad that picked him up.
Now, the witness, the upstairs neighbor who heard the gunshot and ran down with his own gun and saw Leonard locking up. Yeah. I do not believe that was the same witness as who saw him getting into the Jeep. So the Jeep actually, I don't have a time for when that Jeep pickup happened.
Right.
So it could have happened immediately after. It could have happened then.
Later. Yeah.
Say at 3 a.m.
Yeah, of course. Okay. Yeah. So that's two. So that would explain then. That would explain the time difference. Okay. Yeah. And obviously that's very suspicious that she's got no white towels in her house, yet there's a damp white towel in the house. That's very suspicious. It's in her bedroom. And also, I find it really strange that they didn't take crime scene pictures of the bedroom.
No, they didn't.
They only took crime scene photos of the apartment and the kitchen. Mm-hmm. So they didn't actually take anything of the bedroom. I would have thought bathroom and bedroom would have been a good place to take photos of.
Think they did take a photo of the bathroom sink. I think there's one. Yeah, that's correct.
There's not the rest of the bathroom. They only took it of the sink. So there's not, I mean, I would have thought that you would take pictures of the whole place for stuff to reference back to in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, you would think so, but it didn't happen.
No, it didn't happen.
And so that's one of the problems with this case is that from early on and from the first law enforcement officials on the scene, they believed it was a suicide. Okay. So Leonard Messer was taken into custody around 4 a.m. that day. All right. And taken in and questioned. After questioning, he was released. Leonard Messer was never charged for any crimes that occurred on July 6th, 2007.
So I've got a big problem with this. So I understand, okay, they're saying that there's not enough evidence to say that he murdered her. But we spoke to Betsy, we looked into this and we looked into crime scene photos and the way Sarah was sat. So the way Sarah was sat was a relaxed position, cross-legged, and her sofa, so her couch, there was a table in front of it. And there's not enough space for two people to stand in that area. So she was sat down. She had taken her trainers off. So they were to the side of her, and there were some pill bottles because she had some medication on the table. There were a glass table to one side of the couch as well, like a side table. And if what Leonard is saying is that she was threatening to kill herself and he was wrestling her with this gun, and the gun went off, there is no sign of a struggle whatsoever. There's no sign of a struggle in the room. The pill bottles are all still stood up on the table. Yep. Nothing's overturned. Nothing on the couch itself has been moved. She's still sat there like she's relaxing. And she sits a certain way. And Betsy's told us that when she was relaxing, she would sit a certain way on a couch if she was just like
cross-legged.
So when you actually see the crime scene photos and you see how she sat, she looks very relaxed. Now, for somebody who's suicidal, let's go on Leonard's side. So let's just say that he comes in the door, she's sat on the sofa, she's got the gun to her neck, she's threatened to kill herself. He goes over, struggles with her, the gun goes off, she's shot, she starts bleeding profusely because it hits the carotid artery in her neck, so she's bleeding profusely.
Yep.
What would you do? You'd panic because the person that you supposedly love has just tried to kill themselves. You're there. It's a shock. So you would panic. There would be panic. You would grab a phone. You would shout. You would scream. You would call somebody to help you. You wouldn't just stand up, walk out, lock the door, tell upstairs that she just tripped over a table and leave.
Blatantly lie. Yeah.
If you're in shock, you wouldn't do that. That's just ridiculous. So we go the other way. So he's come in, she's relaxing on the sofa. He's pissed at her because they've had an argument and she's embarrassed him in the pub. It's his gun. So he's got the gun. He comes in and this is the first case. I actually did a reconstruction on this case. I actually got my husband to sit down, to stand up because he's not actually that much difference in height between him and her. I actually sat on pillows because I'm small to her height roughly of the sofa. And the way that I can see from the trajectory of the bullet is that this person would be standing over her and she would be leant backwards. And that explains now Leonard was right-handed.
That's correct.
Okay. And I can't see how Sarah could have done this to herself. I can't see it.
Okay, so about this shooting. So the assumption that people have had about this is if she shot herself, she would have used her left hand.
Yes.
However, I have found that is almost impossible to have happened.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So let's go back to the trajectory. Okay? like I said, it was almost a half inch from the midline on the right side.
On the right-hand side. That's right.
On the right-hand side.
Yeah.
There was a right to left deviation.
Yes. So it had to have come from that side.
If she was using her left hand, she would have had to reach over
herself,
over her neck, and been able to point it back at her neck with her left hand.
I mean, do that now.
Impossible.
Do it now. If you, do it. I mean, get it with your whatever you've got near you. Do it. Look, I've got a phone. So literally, put whatever you've got in your left hand. Okay, put it across your body so that the point of what you're holding is in your neck, pointing back towards the left side. It doesn't. Why would you do that? You'd have it in your dominant sense and your dominant hand, and you'd put it to the side that's closest. It makes no sense to do it that way round. I mean, it's possible she had it in her right hand. Yes, it is possible she had it in her right hand and she did it from that way. It has been known before. But from the positioning of things, that didn't happen either.
Okay, so then you're going to say, well, why do they think it was the left hand? Okay. That is from the actual crime scene photo of the gun. Okay?
Yep.
So once again, this is a .38 caliber revolver. Okay. It was sitting on her lap. The barrel side was pointed to her right. The grip was pointing away from her, laying on top of her left forearm.
It doesn't make sense.
So if someone can explain how this would happen, please go ahead and tell me. So left hand is completely out of the question. So could she have shot herself with her right hand? Yeah, sure. Yeah. It could have. Where that gun is, that gun was staged.
Yeah.
Regardless of what happened, that gun was staged. Because you have a .38 revolver. Imagine you have it in your right hand. You have it up to your neck.
Yeah.
Okay? .38 revolver is going to have a kickback.
Yeah.
Okay? So you're going to shoot. It's going to want to be pushing away from your body. So it's going to have where she had the gun. It's going to want to push away from her body.
Yeah.
And to the right.
Yeah.
Okay. But instead, where the gun is, it looks like it went in towards her body.
That's right. Yeah.
Flipped over and landed completely opposite of how you would imagine it would have landed. All right.
But if you're the person in front holding the gun and you let go, it will fall down and it will be facing it. More than likely will face that way.
Exactly.
So frustrating. So frustrating.
It is extreme. And it gets even more frustrating because in 2018, this case actually did go in front of a grand jury.
Yeah.
Okay. And the grand jury came back saying there was insufficient evidence to proceed to trial. This is, in essence, a closed case.
I don't think the thing is, I don't think it should be closed because it's undetermined. They can't prove that she killed herself. They can't prove that at the moment that he killed her. Okay.
Yes.
So it's undetermined. I don't think they can close this because I think somebody needs to look at this even more. The problem is, again, there's so many discrepancies in this case that it makes it very, very frustrating. For instance, just one of the things that we talked about was that the police didn't interview any of her family members. They interviewed her mum and dad, but not her close family members. So not her friends, not anybody that knew a lot about her. They didn't interview Betsy, even though Betsy has told them that she was planning to leave him because he was being violent. We've had, evidence of other people coming forward saying that he was violent towards them, previous partners that have come forward that have also said that you could question his character straight away. There's people from the bar that say he was waving this gun around and that he had also confessed to other people that he had shot a girlfriend of his when he's been drunk. You can't close it.
There have been subsequent girlfriends that Leonard Messert have been with who have come forward and have told police that he has threatened them and saying, hey, I've killed one girlfriend.
Yeah.
I will kill you too and get away with it.
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing with it, and I think we briefly mentioned it about suicide and talked to the mother.
Mm-hmm.
Police, in the actual police report, are going back and saying, well, she has a history of suicidal ideations. Okay. However, this is the problem. There was one possible suicide attempt when she was 15 years old. It had nothing to do with the gun, nothing, right?
No.
It's a 15-year-old girl who is going through puberty.
Hormonal, that's right.
Hormonal, is going crazy. And how many 15-year-old girls out there at some point had a quote-unquote suicide attempt?
Yeah.
So they're using something that happened when she was 15 years old to say, well, she has a history of this, so it looks like she could have killed herself.
We know that Sarah did suffer with bipolar, for which she had medication for. So her bipolar was under control. She had her medication. It was regularly being taken. Everything was under control with that. And now it bothers me. Her timeline of events bothers me because she stopped off at the gas station or the shop or wherever it was, and she bought 2 packets of cigarettes. She bought herself a bottle of drink and she chatted to the person. She went home. She chatted to a neighbor there as well. And okay, so people that commit suicide aren't always depressed and aren't always, really down in the dumps that you can tell something's wrong. A lot of people are absolutely fine and people are really dismayed when they attempt suicide. But the whole, if that was the case and you come home and your partner is sat down with a gun to their throat, your immediate thing is shock or disbelief. You think that they're joking or it's a shock to you. His reactions don't make sense. They don't make sense. To immediately lie to somebody knowing full well that your partner is dead in the apartment that you've just come out of, and you say, oh no, it's fine, she's just tripped over. That doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't.
It doesn't make sense. His immediate actions don't make sense for it to have been an accident. You know?
Yeah.
And the fact that there's things in the apartment. There was the apartment was messy and she didn't usually leave it in a mess. It wasn't how she would have usually left it. There are things in the apartment that wouldn't normally be there, like the towels. There was I think a picture of one of her friend's kids was all torn up, which she wouldn't have done. And it's just strange stuff that just doesn't add up. It's things that don't add up. And obviously he was drinking, and so he's probably acting pretty irrational anyhow. But the fact that the police haven't gone and spoken to them, and there was a video camera in the bedroom that was set up on a tripod, and that wasn't that. They don't know where that came from. They've never seen that before, never heard of that before. The magazines and the books were under the coffee table neatly. There was no sign of a struggle where anything had been taken off.
Nope.
There was an entertainment stand with a TV on it, not pushed over.
Yep.
It's her shoes and socks were off. She looked like she was just sat there relaxing.
The scene doesn't make sense to anything that the witnesses heard, right?
No.
So the upstairs neighbor heard a disturbance, heard a gunshot. He heard noises which sounded like things being moved around a room.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's when he grabbed a gun and ran downstairs. So it sounded like, but with what the police saw, there was nothing like that. There was nothing out of place.
No. And also, if you're struggling, if somebody's going to kill themselves and you, like he said, they were struggling, they were fighting, he was trying to get the gun from her, why was she sat cross-legged? Why was she just sat there with her legs crossed? If they're fighting, surely... No. I mean, we know that she was slumped to one side, but surely...
She was slumped to the left. Yeah, she was slumped left.
That doesn't make sense. So what you're fighting, when you just sat there fighting with your legs crossed, you're only fighting with your arms? No.
Well, that didn't happen either because her nails were completely intact. No damage to the nails. There was
no damage.
There was no skin cells found on the nails.
No.
No scratching, nothing. So if there was a fight, she didn't put up any sort of fight.
No.
At all.
No. So that doesn't make sense either. That doesn't make sense. So the thing that crossed my mind with this one is I wonder if either he came in and surprised her or she was asleep when he came in. And she was asleep because she was relaxing on the couch. So what if he came in and stood over her like that? Because he's saying there was a struggle. That's his alibi. He's saying there was a struggle. He was fighting. Well, there isn't, because look at the scene. There's no struggle there. There's no wrestling. No. There's no pillows from the couch on the floor. There's no her trainers are sat down normally, both together with her socks on top of them when the police take the photos. So you're telling me that they didn't get kicked when he was struggling? Did he stand with his feet planted on the floor and didn't move? So he fought from the waist up? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't.
I would like to hear from him. I would like to hear. And also the other thing with this case is that they waited 10 years before they started interviewing other people. 10 years. Can you remember what you did today, last year?
Mm-hmm.
Can you remember? What did you do today, last year? You don't know.
I have no idea. No, I
don't know what I did today last week, let alone 10 years ago. So in all seriousness, I couldn't tell you what I did 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And if I think about it as something that is a significant thing to me, I couldn't tell you like what certain people were wearing and stuff. You don't remember that kind of thing.
This is the most frustrating part of it too, all right? So Leonard's family, they have pretty much stuck with the same story since day one, right? As a family, they have the same story.
Of course they did, because they had enough time to come up with a story and all stick to it.
Oh, no, people have come forward and spoken to them, but police have been able to explain away why they're not credible, right?
Yeah.
So all these people that are coming forward are not credible. But his family is.
Oh, yeah.
His family is credible.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's just, it doesn't make sense to me. The whole thing doesn't make sense. And I would welcome talking to them, because the whole scene, I'd like him to explain it, because it doesn't make sense. His own account of things doesn't make sense.
Yeah. And you might be listening to this right now and you're thinking, okay, well, what can they get him on? Can they get him on, abandoning a corpse? No. Can they get him on not providing aid to someone in need? Nope. Because in Ohio, there are no Good Samaritan laws. You are not required in the state of Ohio to perform aid on anyone who is in need.
Seriously.
So you could see someone who had been shot or who's having a heart attack and just watch them die. And there's no consequence, nothing.
Damn. That's crazy.
So you are not required to provide aid to anyone in need.
Jeez. That's crazy.
It's
It must be
sad.
so frustrating for Betsy and for the family, because when it's just, you feel so helpless. She's, like she said, she knows that Sarah wouldn't have killed herself. I mean, even if she was upset and even if she was threatening, even if she was crying and she was threatening him, it would have been interesting to see. It'd be interesting to see the state of her face. Was she crying? Was she swollen? Was she red?
Yeah.
Had she been sitting there? She's a young girl. She's in her early 20s. Things are going wrong in her relationship. She loves this guy. She's just had a stressful evening with him. She's gone home.
Yeah.
She's sat on the sofa. She's had a good cry. And then he's come in and she's, been silly and held the gun up and said, like, you don't love me, so I'm going to kill myself. If he went and wrestled that away from her, I don't see that there would be no signs of a struggle whatsoever.
No.
And if that's the case, he would be panicking.
Here's the thing too. She was supposed to be starting to move out of that apartment that day.
Yeah, and she was wanted to go. She wanted to leave.
Out.
Yeah.
She was out. At this point, she was done. She was done with the relationship.
Yeah.
She is not killing herself over this guy.
No, I don't think so. I really don't think so.
I'm not usually blunt on this show. I think I've maybe a handful of times, Jerry. But I'm going to be quite blunt when I say Leonard Messer shot and killed Sarah Wallace.
You believe?
Yes.
You believe that he did.
And I will say, when I first heard about this case, I wasn't sure. I agreed with the grand jury saying there's not enough evidence.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree.
And so I thought, is there a possibility that Sarah shot herself? Yeah, I absolutely did. And so I wasn't sure about it. But as I've gone on and I've found more and more information, I've changed. I think Leonard Messer killed Sarah Wallace, and I will stick to that. And that's not something that if you would have asked me a week ago today, if you would have said a week ago, Morgan, what do you think? I would have said, I'm kind of leaning towards Sarah shooting herself, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
The thing is, we've done a lot of investigation on this case. We've spoken to a lot of people. I mean, understandably, none of Leonard's camp are talking. We tried to speak to Hamilton County, but they're obviously really busy at the moment. We couldn't get hold of anyone there either. And I've also been in touch with a gun specialist because I wanted to look at the kickback on that. So hopefully they'll get back to me soon and we can have an update on this. But yeah. I think from looking at everything, we looked at crime scene photos, we've read police reports, we've spoken to family members. And the police reports are obviously they're not biased. So they're basically straight down the line. This is what they found. This is what they think's happened. This is their, this is what was there in the apartment at the time. So it's unbiased. So okay, yes, we've only spoken to her family, but from the autopsy report, also from the crime scene photos, from the crime scene stuff from the police reports, this doesn't make sense at all.
No.
And that's not just going against Leonard like that. This is from reading all of those things, documents from professionals. The timeline doesn't make sense. So I don't see how they can close this and say, I understand there's not enough evidence. I get that. But why aren't they looking for more? Why?
The gun was staged. The apartment was staged. The apartment was cleaned up.
Yeah.
If you're fighting for a gun, okay, it goes off. It goes through the carotid artery. Blood's everywhere, right? Leonard's clean.
Yeah.
Leonard's not covered in blood.
I mean, we know that the couch absorbed a lot of her blood, and the left side of her, I think it was the left side of her body, she was slumped to the left, wasn't she? So the left side of her body, the clothing to the left side of her body did absorb a lot of the blood.
It did.
But we're talking a main artery. A main artery. We're not talking about a flesh wound. This is a main artery. That's a lot of blood. And the fact that we've got these clean towels and the fact that one of the girls he was seeing was in a hotel nearby and the timeline of things and the parents rang, and it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. And I would like to see what they've got to say about how obviously, if it was an accident, it's a very traumatic experience for them to talk about. But wouldn't you want to prove your innocence? Wouldn't you want to stand up and say, no, this was an accident. I didn't kill her. It was an accident. You wouldn't be boasting in a bar that you've killed one girlfriend and you could quite easily kill another.
Exactly. And here, I'm going to go back to the 911 call just for a second. The very first statement given to police in the 911 call was, my son shot his
girlfriend. Yeah.
It wasn't my son's girlfriend shot herself.
No, or my son shot his girlfriend.
My son was trying to break up or trying to wrestle a gun from his girlfriend and it went off. It was
sure. I mean,
my
that's the
son
thing.
shot his girlfriend.
Wouldn't you ring up and say, you'd be panicking. You'd be like, oh my God, my son's going to get in trouble. He's going to be in trouble. Wouldn't you say immediately, she was trying to kill herself, he was trying to stop her and the gun went off?
I think that was a slip up on my part.
Yeah, I agree.
I think they already had a plan of this is what I'm going to say when I'm calling 111.
Yeah.
What you're going to say is that there was the gun went off while they were struggling for the gun. She slipped up and she told the truth. The very first thing out of her mouth was the truth. My son shot his girlfriend.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It's so frustrating.
It's really frustrating. And I'm really sad. I'm really sad about this one because it seems like they've just gone, it was a suicide. That's the end of it. Let's just write it off.
It is.
There's no one asking any questions anymore, Yeah,
no one. It's been how many years now? It's been 14 years, right?
Yeah.
And no one's standing up for Sarah. Sarah's case was in the news for 48 hours, less than 48 hours.
Yeah.
There was one article in the local newspaper about Sarah's death. before her obituary, right? It was like 3 or 4 paragraphs. Nothing. Her case was covered on the news, television news.
Once, wasn't it?
Once or twice. And that's it. And then done.
Nothing. And the people that owned the apartment didn't want the family to be upset by seeing the couch covered in blood, and so they disposed of the couch before the family got to go in the apartment.
Yeah.
So evidence from that has gone. We also saw like the bruises. You could see the bruises on her. You could see the bruises. They obviously weren't fresh bruises, but you could see there were yellow bruises sort of on her from the autopsy stuff that we've seen. And reading the autopsy report, there was a lot of bruising. She had a lot of bruises. You know, it doesn't make sense. Something, it just doesn't make sense.
If we can post at least that shows the injuries to her body, we will do that. And you'll see there are numerous bruising across her chest, on her arms, on her legs.
Yeah.
This is a girl who had been abused for at least, I'm going to say she was abused for the past year by this man.
Yeah.
And she was on the verge of getting out and starting her life.
Yeah. And that's the thing. She gave him an ultimatum. She said to him, I think it was July 6th, she said to him, you either choose your wife or you choose me. And then what happens? She's dead.
She's dead.
Well, you know, if you're going to be issuing ultimatums and you're planning with your family to leave somebody, is that the actions of somebody who's going to commit suicide? I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so. And I'm sad for Sarah. I'm really sad for her because I think the truth deserves to be known. And if you are the sort of person that your girlfriend, you know, shot herself, or you had an accident and shot herself, there is not just one person that's come forward to say that he's bragged about shooting her. It's not one person that knows another person. They're separate people that have come forward and said this. So isn't that worth looking into, at least exhausting all avenues? Isn't it worth just asking the question? Go back, ask the questions, read the crime scene reports again, reconstruct it, try it again. If it comes to nothing, it comes to nothing, but at least you've tried. You've exhausted everything you can to say there's nothing more we can do. We've tried. It doesn't seem like that's happened.
It hasn't. And I don't want to blame Hamilton County Sheriff's Office.
No, I mean, yeah, I know. It's
too much. Do I believe that they did everything they could have?
Yeah, I'm sure they
I think they did what they believed was right.
Yeah.
They put the effort they thought it desered.
They looked at it as a suicide, didn't they? That's what they've done.
That was a problem. They looked at it as a suicide.
Now, am I right in thinking, wasn't the initial report, wasn't it initially reported as a homicide?
No.
So it was initially reported as a suicide. I might just dream that.
The very first thing that's noted in the police report is suicide.
Right, okay. Then it was changed.
It's not until the medical examiner got in and started looking at everything that it was changed to undetermined.
Right, okay.
So it's been undetermined since really probably August of 2007. But that doesn't mean that the initial investigators who went to the scene did not go and say, this is a suicide.
It's a suicide, yeah. And that's what it looks like. They've treated it as a suicide. They've not taken evidence as it possibly being a homicide. They've looked at it as a suicide. And that's right. It's not until they've looked into it. Undetermined is, I think that's perfectly fair. You can't determine either way. But undetermined means we don't have an answer. There's no answer.
It's undetermined, but you have a staged gun. The gun is staged, people.
The gun, yeah. It doesn't make sense. If you could see it, it doesn't make sense. I'm not sure if we're allowed to post that on socials, but
we might. I don't think we can post that. I have put together, and I showed you this, Cherry.
Oh, yes,
the little model that I created.
Yeah, that's the best thing. We could post that. That's good.
I can post basically a model in how she was sitting, how she was leaning, and the location of the gun.
Yes,
and have you look at it, and if you can explain to me how a gun ends up in the position it was, good for you, because it makes no damn sense.
No, you can see why we've been crazy about this case. It's been one of those, I don't think I've ever I don't think I've never done a reconstruction before, but it's really bothered me, this case, because I just feel like it's not right. It doesn't seem right to me. Not at all. I've got such a bad feeling about this. It just doesn't seem right.
No, not at all. Not at all.
I feel sad for her.
I do want to thank, real quick, before I forget, Kelly, who was one of Sarah's best friends.
She did suggest this case to us, and she
came to us with it. Yeah,
she did say, "I apologize now for the amount of frustrating feelings you're going to feel," and she was right, because this case has consumed us crazily. So yeah, Kelly, thank you very much for suggesting this case to us this week.
I did find out, I was just talking to her the other day, that Kelly was actually planning on helping Sarah move that weekend.
God, it's horrible.
And she, unfortunately, did not get the opportunity to help her friend.
Well, Sarah, we will keep trying. We will keep trying to fight for you, and your family will keep trying to get justice for you. Betsy is a force to be reckoned with, and she's a lady that's not going to give up anytime soon.
She's not. No.
She's really not.
No.
So good for her.
No, it's funny.
Keep
Betsy
going.
actually, I love talking to Betsy. Betsy was wonderful.
Betsy
actually told me that it wasn't until she met Sarah that she decided she was going to marry Sarah's brother. And she told Andy at the time that the only reason I'm marrying you is so I can have a sister. That's how much she loves Sarah.
Yeah, they're really close.
No.
And yeah.
There, like I said, this is something out there that there's not a whole lot of information on.
No, there's not.
It hasn't been covered. I think one other podcast might have covered it recently.
Yeah.
Do us a favor. Take a second, go on Facebook, even if you haven't used Facebook in a year, go on Facebook and give the Justice for Sarah Wallace page on Facebook a like.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
Just so that they know you heard this, that you're thinking of Sarah, that you're with them in what they're doing. And even if Leonard does not ever see, bar cells in front of him, I think you will at some point for some crime. Just give them just a little bit of just click on there. Say, you don't have to say anything to them. You don't have to write to them.
Just like
their page.
Share their page.
Just so they know that you're thinking of Sarah and that her life meant something.
The other thing I think is also good is if you've been affected by this, if you know of him or something has happened and you're holding back, women have done it. You can message the page. If you've got information on this case and you're Googling, because people Google things to see if a certain name comes up, to see what they can see about it. So if you've done that and you've got information and you've seen that we've covered this, you can contact us anonymously. You can contact Betsy anonymously. Do the page. You can send them a message. Any information will help, because this needs to have a conclusion. They need to close this properly, and Sarah needs justice. They need to know what really happened.
Mm-hmm. I feel terrible for this one. I feel terrible.
I feel really sick
for her family.
Yeah, I do.
Like, I'm looking at her pictures now, and she was such a lovely girl.
Yeah,
she deserved a lot better than what she got.
And I understand the other families. That's their son. He's involved in something that's not great. Your motherly instinct is to protect. I get that. I totally understand that from his mum's point of view. If your kid phones you up and says, "Mum, I've just shot my boyfriend or I've just shot my girlfriend," your natural instinct is to protect your child first and foremost. It's a natural instinct to do that. I totally get it. But there is a point where you need to look at this and go, do you know what? I'm not 100% sure that he is actually telling me the whole truth, because this doesn't add up. If you can give me an answer to everything that I've said today, if you can answer absolutely everything for me, I will sit back and take it. But until you can tell me all of the answers to the questions I've got, I'm thinking the way I am.
Let's do it. These are the questions I got. Okay. These are my questions. If you have any more questions, please add.
Go.
Number one.
Mm-hmm.
There are 3 phones in the house. Why did you not call 911 from the apartment?
Yep, that would have been one of mine.
Okay. Number 2, why did you calmly leave the apartment, lock up, tell a neighbor that there wasn't a shooting, that Sarah was drunk and just tripped and fell?
Yep, that would be my question.
Okay. Why is the neighbor saying that the shooting occurred between 1:15 and 1:30?
1:30, yeah.
Okay. But your mom is calling 911 2 hours later saying that the shooting happened at 3.
So where were you and what were you doing those 2 hours?
Mm-hmm.
I think those top 3, that's the most important 3 I would want to know. Why didn't you use the phone to phone somebody? Why did you calmly leave and lie to the neighbor when your girlfriend allegedly has just been shot by you and her struggling?
Yeah.
Number 3, why did it take so long for you to call 911? Number 4, what's up with the crime scene? What's up with the why? Where did the towels come from?
Where did the towel come from? Exactly. Yeah.
That would be my first. That would be the questions that I would ask first and foremost. And if you can give me an answer to all of those things, and an answer that will actually make sense, a credible answer, let's do it. Tell me your side of the story.
And you know what? There's one piece that I think we've kind of I mentioned, but I don't think we've really talked about. The neighbor who said he saw Leonard locking up said that there was also another person with him.
Yeah, an unkempt man, didn't it? An unkempt man.
Who was that other person? Yeah. Who was that? Because if there was another person there, because here's the thing, Leonard did not drive home from the bar.
No, because his car was already there.
The car was already there. And I don't know why we didn't talk about this until just now. His car was already there. Leonard wouldn't have walked home. It would have been too far for him to walk. Leonard got a ride home
from the bar.
Who did he get a ride home from?
Yeah.
And was that person also with him in the apartment? And did they see what actually happened?
Yeah. So many questions, isn't there? There's so many questions that need an answer. I would be interested to hear the transcript of what he said in the police interview.
Why? It's a lie.
Yeah, but I'd be interested to see how he makes it work. Because whatever it is, they've obviously believed him.
It doesn't work. That's the problem. It doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. I can't see it working.
So far, what the family has said does not work.
No.
So frustrating.
It really is. Really, really frustrating.
Okay, so you said you'd be interested in seeing what Leonard have to say. How about I do something for you and I tell you what Leonard's brother had to say? Okay?
Yes. Yeah, okay.
All right, so this was an interview that was with Leonard's younger brother, okay, that occurred on July 6th, 2007.
Right.
At 7:55 in the morning, okay?
Right.
So at the time, his brother wasn't working, so he was at home, and he didn't work because he had a broken back from falling off a horse, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So he stated that around 2:45 to 3 o'clock in the morning, he was with his wife in their bedroom when his mother came in and said that Sarah was dead.
Right.
Okay. The brother did not ask anything. He walked out of his room and heard his brother, Leonard, in the bathroom throwing up. He said that he then immediately went outside and started throwing up himself from listening to his brother getting sick. Okay. Now, he said that he learned that Sarah was dead from watching a news report. He said that his brother, Leonard, continued getting sick and was crying. And then police came to his house, and his mother, father, and Leonard were all transported to the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office. Okay, so the most important thing, I think, in here is the fact that he said that at 2:45 a.m. to 3 a.m., he was with his wife in their bedroom when his mother came in and said that Sarah had been shot. Okay. What time did mom say that the shooting happened?
It was like 3:15. 3:15.
The mom, once again, is lying.
Yeah. That doesn't add up.
It doesn't add up.
Why is nobody else seeing this?
I don't know.
Like, we're not making this up. Why is no one else seeing this? This is recorded.
This happened. This was recorded this was at 7:55 in the morning.
Jesus.
This was within hours. This is his first statement to the police. I was with my wife in the bedroom. My mom came in between 2:45 and 3 o'clock in the morning. Said Sarah had been shot.
But the mum rang and said, "Oh, I don't get it. I just don't get it. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up, people. It doesn't add up."
Mom's calling 911 saying that she was shot at 3:15 in the morning.
Yeah.
Mom's lying.
And what time did she phone? What time was the 911 call?
3:42 in the morning.
It doesn't add up. It doesn't add up at
all. An hour
all.
late. Mom is telling brother an hour before she rings up 911 that Sarah had been shot.
Busted. Totally busted.
We're breaking this case open right now as we record.
Man.
This is insane. This is absolutely insane.
It is. It's totally insane. Hamilton County need to answer their emails.
Something.
Really?
No, honestly, if anyone out there has any information about this, please reach out to someone.
Yeah. Don't keep quiet. Sarah needs justice. This can't go on, with people saying that she killed herself when she obviously didn't. Her family at least deserve that.
It's so frustrating.
We'll keep you up to date with this case. Obviously, as you can tell from the exasperation on both of our voices, we won't be forgetting about this case. So,
not at all.
Yeah, we will keep you updated with anything we find out. If you guys have got any tips or hints or anything we're not thinking about or anything we've said that you don't think makes sense, you've got a different opinion of it, go check it out. Go and look online. Go and have a look for... There's another podcast that's covered it. Listen to them too. As much information as we can get out there about Sarah's case is worth everything. It's worth everything. Yeah. Go do it. Go look for yourself. People that listen to podcasts like ours are inquisitive in nature. That's why you listen. You're interested in crime. Go and look into this case. If there's one case that you look into this year, make it this one. Just go and look into it. Tell us what you think.
Yep. Like I said, there's not a whole lot of information out there about this case as of right now.
And if you've got any questions, that you think of that you want us to ask our family about, give us your questions. We will ask. Give us what you want to know. We will ask for you and we will let you know. Because there might be something that we've missed. The police are obviously missing quite a lot, so there might be something we haven't even listed. So if there's something you're listening to and you think, why haven't they thought about this? Let us know. We'll ask. We'll do the investigation into it. We'll do it. So just let us know.
Yeah, I think this case means a whole lot to both of us.
It really does.
And I want some positive news to come from this.
I would like to.
And I hope the right people.
Yeah.
I hope the right people hear this.
I hope.
And they do the right thing.
Share
they come forward with information.
Share this as much as you can.
Yes, please. Cherry, I mentioned this to you last week, and maybe this might be good. So I mentioned to you that we should look into doing some Instagram live videos where we can talk to listeners about cases that we covered. Yes. I think this might be a good one to start with.
I agree. I think we should do an Instagram live chat about this case. And if you've got any questions you want us to think about, just send them on over and we'll look into them and we'll do that on our Instagram live and you can ask us questions at the time. So we'll go over the case again and then we'll head straight into that. That's a good idea. We should definitely do that. We'll sort a date out for that.
So that is our case for this week. It's
thank you.
A tough one, but I think it was a case that definitely needed to be talked about.
Everyone needs to hear about this case, definitely. And I don't think it's got the media attention it deserves.
It has not. Leonard, you could be using other names, Ray or Johnny Ray. It doesn't matter. We know who you are.
Yeah.
We know who you are.
Okay, thank you very much. So thanks for listening to us this week. We'll be back next week. It'll be the last episode before CrimeCon next week.
Ooh,
next Sunday will be our next one. Then the next one you'll hear will be sort of an update from CrimeCon. We'll have the CrimeCon live that we're going to be doing as well. And we're going to be presenting a case to you live at CrimeCon. So we'll have that for you so you can have a listen to that as well. So
I will have a little bit of a break.
You will.
Until my next episode.
You will have a bit of because it's my next week, then CrimeCon when we come back. And then, we have a bit of a break. That's all good.
Yeah. Be good.
Lazy. You should do next week's too. So how about we end the show this week then on our Dumb Criminal? Every week we will pick out a stupid story. Thanks for your suggestions of these as well. They've been coming in and they're really funny, some of the suggestions. I've put them on the list. So we're going to look into a case that might give you a bit of a laugh at the end of a very stressful and serious episode.
Hey, Captain Stupid Poopy Pants. Use a dummy.
Thank you, Captain. So, this week's Dumb Criminal, 2 Welsh tourists landed themselves in court in 2012 after they got drunk and stole a penguin.
What?
So this is Australia, okay? Reese Owen Jones, who is 21. So he's a tourist. They're both from Wales on holiday in Australia. Reese Owen Jones, who was 21, and Kerry Mules, 20, from South Wales, broke into SeaWorld on the Queensland Gold Coast resort. They swam with the dolphins. They let off a fire extinguisher in the shark enclosure and then stole Dirk the penguin. Okay.
Okay.
So when they woke up, like the next day, they were hungover and had Dirk with them in their apartment.
Oh, no.
So they tried to feed him and they put him in the shower to try and give him some water. Okay. But then they did a stupid ass thing and they released him into a canal.
No.
So that was a dumbass thing to do. They should have just taken him back and taken him back and said, we found this thing, whatever.
Yeah.
So they were spotted by locals who called the police and they were obviously caught. They were fined by a magistrate £1,000 Australian, which is about £637 in English money. Okay. And the judge told them to drink a little less vodka.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay. What happened to Dirk? Is he okay?
Dirk was rescued, returned back to SeaWorld, and was totally unharmed. He was like knocking back the vodka shots with them, Dirk had a time of his life. He was in the shower eating tuna or something. Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, it was 2012. They got drunk and stole a penguin. What a thing to steal.
I wonder how long do penguins live?
I don't know, actually. I wonder if he's still there. He's telling
because if he is, I want to go see him.
Yeah. He's back recalling his tales of the day he got out. Like in Madagascar, the kids film. He's there telling everyone about how he got out and went drunk and went like out for the night with the 2 lads that stole him from the zoo. How funny. God. But then what does that say?
Welsh guys.
Yeah, what does that say about the security at SeaWorld though? They managed to
bad.
Yeah, they managed to swim with dolphins, let off a fire extinguisher, and then steal a penguin. I mean, really? No one noticed?
Oh, I'm looking at picture. Dirk is a cute little guy. Look at him.
Yeah, it's cute. He's a cute little penguin. So yeah, I don't know if he's still alive or not. I'm not sure, but he was unharmed. They didn't hurt him. I mean, I don't know. They put him in the shower. It's a bit weird, but
let me see. Dirk the penguin. Oh, there's been no updates on Dirk the penguin since 2012.
Oh, okay. So we don't know where he is.
I'm going to call up SeaWorld in Queens. Where was it?
Ask Queensland. Yeah. The Gold Coast.
If any Australian listeners know if Dirk the penguin's still alive, please let us know.
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah. He's really cute, though. He is cute. And they were just fine. That was all it was. They were just fine. But he's home and safe and he's absolutely fine. He's a fairy penguin. How cool is that? A fairy penguin.
Oh.
Yeah. So I might just put a picture on our socials, and I won't explain why I've got a picture of a penguin. So you're going to have to listen to this week's episode to know why Dirk the penguin featured in our episode. That will get people listening.
If Dirk's still alive, I want him to guest on our show.
Oh, that would be so fun. I want a picture of you and me and Dirk. We'll have to superimpose that. Like we'll superimpose it, the two of us. Somebody's got to be good with Photoshop. Just me, you, and the penguin.
Dirk's my buddy.
Dirk is cool. So yeah, thank you for listening this week. We will be back next week with another episode for you. In the meantime, catch us on our socials. And for now, be nice.
And bye.